Hello and welcome, my name is 4Page. So I've decided to make a tutorial for the Factorization Servos. I've been looking around online, looking for tutorials on how to use them, but I could not find any. Direwolf20 did an episode where he did a Let's Play where they were introduced, but he has not yet done a tutorial on how to use them, and nobody else has either, and I've only found just like the official documentation, which is very lean. There's not a whole lot. It just explains what each little piece does, not exactly how to use it. And I've found a few things where people have built stuff with them, but nothing really official like this, actually teaching how to use it. Now, disclaimer, this is not a in-depth or thorough tutorial. This is just kind of a basics to get you started on how to work these stupid things and what each piece does. It just kind of on the surface. It's not going to teach you how to build an elaborate castle making machine or anything like that. So, what the servo is, as you can see these guys, little guys running around, the servo is a little robot that runs on these rails called servo rails. They also require factorization power. You can put a battery block next to it, or you can hook it up directly to a power source, which I have a solar array over there. Yes, so these servo rails conduct power, much like the lead wire does, and the servos draw power from them. I'm not going to bother telling you how to make them, because you could find the recipes also, and if you have NEI, you could just look up the recipes, and it's not that hard to make. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is these instruction plates. They are things that you put on the rail. These do basically what they say. And if they get confusing, well, that's because you need to know a little bit more before you understand what the actual meaning means. Like product, you can imagine it's a product of something, or sum. It adds things or multiplies things. But what does it add or multiply? I'll get there. To remove them, you just shift right click with the logic matrix programmer, and it'll just take it off. Okay? Easy peasy. Now, if you actually look at it, you don't see anything. But if you're holding a logic matrix programmer, you'll notice that there are all those different colors of little squares up there. And those are very important. I think there's 16, one for each color. I'm not entirely sure. I don't feel like counting. Those will come into play later. For now, we're just going to talk about these that I have in my hand right now. So this one that I have in my hand is the set speed. To change these, you use the logic matrix programmer and just right click them. So now it's on fast. And as you would imagine, it speeds it up. Faster makes it go even faster. And then it goes down to slowest. And so now it goes really, really, really slow. I believe that the faster it goes, the more power it uses, but I'm not entirely certain. So don't quote me on that. And it has slow and normal again. So this one is called point top. So what this one does is it points the top wherever the arrow is facing. So the arrow is facing towards the top of it. It's going to turn the top towards the top. Right now, that's not very important, as it doesn't have anything on it. It's just roaming around, but it can go back down to the bottom, but you can't point it backwards or forwards on the rail. Only to the sides. As you can see, it'll turn with the rail. So when it's facing that way, once it goes around a corner, it'll face that way. That becomes very important later on when you're doing all kinds of stuff with it and you want it to face a certain way, but then it goes around a corner and it's facing a different way. Gets kind of annoying sometimes. So the next one is set direction. This one is important if you have a lot of directions for it to go. So if you want it to go back the way it came, you can just set it that way, and it will go just back that way. However, it's more than just going back and forth. Let me show you this. So now we got a little figure 8 going, right? So when it comes through here, it'll come back around here. At crossroads, also you can have it going up and down it will always prefer to go straight, the direction it's headed. So as you can see, it just went straight on through. However, what happens if we take that off? Which way will it go now? These things always have a preferred path. It will prefer to go a certain direction up until a certain point. Like, it will prefer to go straight, but if it can't go straight, it will prefer to go right. If it can't go right, then it'll prefer to go left. If it can't go left, it'll prefer to go up or down. I don't know exactly what it is. You'll have to look it up in the documentation. I will put the links to the Factorization Servo documentation in the description below, so that's there for you to look at, and you can look at that at your leisure. As you saw before, it will prefer to go straight. However, what will happen if I tell it to go down, and there is no down? Well, it'll just go straight. So what happens if I tell it to go right? You saw that I went straight, but now I have this say go right. It will go right. Now this thing, you can have it on the crossroads, or you can have it before. So the next one we have is spin. Alright, so what this does is it will spin the servo. So you can have like a set point top in a direction that you want it to go, the thing to point, or if you have a cycle where you need it to, every time it goes through, turn as another direction for some reason. You might need this for some reason. Then you can use the spin, and if you right click, it will spin it the other way. So as you saw, it was spinning it this way. Now it will spin it back this way. So that is all of the movement based instructions. Now we're gonna go over here and we're gonna check out this one. Yeah, the redstone based instructions. So what we have is a socket signal, redstone pulse, and trap. What trap does is when it goes over it, bam, it stops. So that could be used when we get to the socket parts. That can be used with the item shifter to put items into it or out of it, and with the lacerator, it can be used to just stop it until it breaks a block or something, or for it to wait in a certain place for a certain amount of time. Now to get it going again, you just apply a redstone signal and off it goes. But when the redstone signal is off, the servo will stop at the trap again. So the next one we have is redstone pulse. So this one, as you probably would imagine, sends off a redstone signal once it goes over it. Boom. It pulses redstone. Self-explanatory. This part is called the socket signal. Right now I can't exactly demonstrate it to you because it has no socket part in it. So I will get back to that one later. So this next bit, I'm going to show you the socket parts. The first one I have in my hand is called the lacerator. This is the thing that grinds things up in factorization. You put it on, and it has this neat little lacerator thingy do. So this thing will break blocks. It's not going to break any right now because it's going too fast to actually break anything. I will show you what I mean right now. As you can see, it has the damage on it, but none of them actually get far enough to break. However, this can be used. You can slow it down to make it do more damage to the block, but it still won't actually get to the point where it'll break the block. You might wonder what use that will be, considering the blocks are static. Well, let me show you this. Okay, so here we have some sugarcane. This can be used to harvest the sugarcane. As you can see, it just breaks it almost instantly. So what you do is you have this servo running in between lines on your sugarcane, wheat, or whatever farm you have. Now, as you can see, it has a little sugarcane item on the servo, indicating that it's holding the item. I don't know if there's any other way, but the only way that I found to be able to get items out of a servo once it's in there is by using a hopper from Minecraft. That will automatically pull items from the inventory above it. So, as you can see, they're all in there now. Now, there might be other ways that you might know of, or might have heard somebody using a different way or seen them, but that's the only way that I could figure out how to get them out of there. Other than using this next thing called the item shifter. So what the item shifter does is it shifts items. With the item shifter, you can actually right click it with the logic matrix programmer and you get this inventory. So you get flow direction, transfer mode, amount, and target slot. So I showed you this one before, the socket signal, and I am going to actually show it to you and what it does right now. So we're going to place this right next to this chest. There's a stack of stone in it. So this item shifter has import to back, which means it's going to collect an item from the box. As it goes over the socket signal, as you saw, it has an item on there now. And that's missing 2 because it went over twice. So now it has 2 items in it. So now we're going to click export from back, but we're going to change this. So this is stream single item, but you can't change the item amount because it's single item. We can change this to pulse an exact amount, so we can change the amount to, say, 10. So it will put in 10 items. We can pulse some amount, which means it will put in 10 if it can, but it'll put in less than that. So if, with the pulse exact amount, it will not put anything unless it can put all 10 of it. So those are the only 3 we have in the transfer mode. What we're going to do here is we're going to pulse some amount 2. And I am on export, so it's going to, bam, put the items back in where it got them. So the next item we're going to talk about is the item shifter control. So now we have this item shifter control. What this does is it does exactly what you can do here, except it does it one instruction at a time on the rail. So you don't have to actually go up to it and change it. So it can change it on the fly. So what we have is, this is export, and then goes to import, set transfer limit, set target slot, stream transfer, pulse transfer exact, pulse transfer sum, and back to export. So what we're going to do here with these chests, there's a stack of stone here in this chest. So we're going to set it to import items, and we're going to set it to stream transfer. Pulse that once, and then what happens? It will take a single stone. And it won't get anything from these chests because they're both empty. So now it has in it 1 stone. So we're going to pulse it once more. It's going to go through, grab another item. Now it has 2 in it, and there's 62 items here. So now I'm going to do something a little bit more advanced, and I'll explain it later as I go. Okay, what I have here is, since it has 2 in it already, this is going to be exactly the same. It's going to come and grab 1 more stone, so it'll have 3 in it. Now, here we have a 1 and a 1 integer. I will show what these do and the sum in the next section, but for now, just suffice to say that they will create a 2 in the machine. So what this one, it's set on pulse transfer sum. So instead of stream transfer, where I have here, this will change it to pulse transfer sum. So it will transfer as much as it has in it up until the number that I set, which was 2. And this one, it sets the transfer limit. So the 2 that I put in here will set that transfer limit. And then here we have export items, so when it goes down, it should export 2 into this one and then 1 into this one. Let's see if it works. So it goes through, picks up 1, Goes through here. Sets 2 and sets 1. Perfect. So that is the item shifter. You can do quite a bit of interesting things with that. The item shifter is probably the best socket for this mod. There's another socket. There's another socket called the robotic arm, but I have absolutely no idea how to use this thing or what it's for. So I'm not going to go over that in this mod. I'm sorry if you were looking forward to that, but I don't know what that is. Like I said before, this is not an extensive tutorial. This is a basics tutorial. So I'm not going to get into an incredible amount of things. Just the things that I know, just to get you started and get you off the ground, essentially. So this next section, I'm going to be talking about these. Now this is where the real meat of the servos comes in. This is the logic. So in order to use these, you need to actually have a socket in it. Typically the item shifter. I don't know if you can actually work it with the lacerator or the robotic arm. I haven't tried. So we're going to start with the 1. With this integer number thing, it says push a number. What this will do, you can push a 0 or a 1. Just one of those. Sadly, you can't do anything else. That would make it incredibly, incredibly handy if you could push any number in a single thing. But unfortunately, you cannot. So what this will do, it goes over it, pushes the 1, and as you can see up in the yellow square, there's a 1 there. These things are called stacks. There's only 2 of them in use. The black one on the far right, over here, and the yellow one. He has plans for all the rest of them, I'm sure, but so far they have not been used, as far as I can tell. We're going to do that one more time, and that put another 1 up there. Alright, so here we're going to push 3 1s in a row. 1, 2, 3. So now we have a stack of 5 1s. What can we do with 5 1s? The next thing I'm going to show you is the sum. So what this will do is it will take the first 2 numbers on the stack and add them together. So as you can see, 2 of the 1s disappeared and you get a 2. So we're going to actually show you the order of the stack right now. So I'm going to push another 1 and that goes under the 2. So the top of the stack is actually the bottom. So you get that it adds things together. So the next thing I'm going to show you is product. As you can imagine, this one probably does exactly the same thing as sum, except it multiplies things together. So for the product to be useful, you actually have to have some big numbers, because multiplying anything by a 1 ends up making just that number. So that's just kind of useless. And multiplying 2 2s together is useless as well. So you actually have to have a number bigger than 3 for it to be at all useful. So what I'm going to do here is just get a couple of decently sized numbers. We've got a 3 and a couple of 1s and a 2. So now we have a 2 and a 3. If we add that together, it'll be 5. However, we're going to use the product, and that will give us, guess what? A 6. So now we have 3 1s and a 6 on our stack. Now we're going to have this little number, or this little instruction called duplicate. What this will do is it will duplicate the number on the stack. So I have a 6, bam, we have 2 6s. And the next one is called drop. This will drop a number from the stack, i.e. erase it completely. So I had 2 6s, now we only have 1 6. How could that possibly help us? Well, if you remember over here, on the item shifter, you can change the item slot that you're taking from or putting in to an inventory. Also, you can change the transfer amount. So just those 2 things alone give this innumerable uses. The next thing I'm going to show you is jump. This is useful if you have a very, very complex network of crisscrossing rails. So we have a jump here. This can be changed to unconditional skip or just jump next. It's going to go over the jump next. Stack underflow of Boolean. What does that mean? So we're going to do unconditional skip instead. Okay, as you saw, it skipped over this trap and went on to this one. So this, like I said, can be useful for if you have a very wide crisscrossing network of rails, or if it has a loop that you need once it goes around a certain time, then it needs to skip a certain instruction, etc. It's useful for that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the Boolean. Boolean will return true or false. Simple as that. So when we have a true, it will put in the stack true. So now I have 3 ones, a 6, and a true. So the reason I got that error for jump was because there was no Boolean value in here. Now that I have a true, this set to jump next will equal true. So we're going to have a trap here and a trap here, just so I can show you. It should stop on this one, but since it hit this jump next and it was true, it jumped this one. So that one will also return, can also return false. So if we put a false in there and say jump next, it will do exactly what you'd expect. False. Doesn't jump next. Okay, so when you use a value, it pulls it from the stack, so it's no longer there. So as you saw, it pushed a false, jump next, false, and so it ended up not jumping next. Next one is compare. Okay, so what compare does is this actually doesn't say. Well, I guess I'll just tell you. So here we have equal to. So it'll take 2 values on the stack, the 1 and the 6, and if they are equal to each other, it will return true. If they're not equal, it will return false. They're not, this one is not equal to. If they're not equal, it will return true. If they are equal, it will return false. So here, it will return true because they're not equal. This one is greater than. So that means that if the 6 is greater than the 1, it will return true, which it is greater than. And this means greater than or equal to. So it's greater than, but it's not equal to. But if it was equal to it, it would return true. This one is less than or equal to. This one is less than. Or I could be getting those backwards. This one is probably actually less than or equal to, which will return false. So what this should do is it will look at the 1 and the 6 that are on the stack, ask if they're equal, and then return false. So when it returns false, it will ask, should I jump? And then it will take that false, say no, and then it will get stuck on this one. Alright, let's see if I'm correct. False? No? Stop. Booyah, I am awesome. So that is the last of all of the logic things. There's one more. This one is called entry control. What entry control does is it will change the servo's preference for which way to go. As you can see, it prefers to go straight. Now you can change direction using the set direction, like we used before. But with this one, it's a little bit more ambiguous. So here I'm going to put one here. It will prefer to go this direction. As you can see, whoosh, it goes in that direction. These two are neutral. This one it prefers. Let's see if it will turn. Yes. So because it likes to go this direction, it will just stay in this loop. Now, here we have it prefers to not go in this direction. And we're going to change this one to prefer not to go in this direction, so it will go straight. Or not, because... What? Okay, it went straight, but it decided to not look like it will. And because it didn't want to go that way, it decided to go this way. So it's going to go this way now. So the way I have it set up now, it will go in kind of a, I don't know, WM pattern, as you can see. Now, how happens if I put another one right here? It will go this way, and then it will continue to cycle around this square here. Because this is the only way that it would prefer to go, because it does not want to go any of these other three directions. Now, what happens if I put a fourth one here? Then it will, because all ways are equal, it will continue to go in its normal pattern, which is that figure 8. Yes. What? Oh, there we go. I guess it doesn't catch up all the time. It just, sometimes it forgets. But really it does go straight. Even if it doesn't look like it, that's the way it goes. So, I showed you all of the logics. I showed you all of the directions and the sockets except for the robotic arm because I don't know how to use that one. So now you've seen how to use servos and most of the instructions and the sockets. You're going to have to figure out what to use them for on your own. I know there's not a whole lot of documentation or information on this aspect of this mod, so I figured I'd just lend a helping hand, and for whoever wants to can figure this out. Make it a little bit easier, show you what's what, and maybe you can build something incredibly awesome now because you actually know how it works. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again in one of my other videos. Until then, everybody, take it easy. Ta-ta!